Hi and welcome back. Day 4 of our 30 days of yoga challenge. So well done. Thank you for continuing to join me. Well done for keeping this promise to yourself to stick with the challenge, with the program. So and I'm really grateful that you're here. Wanted to offer a little motivation through my top today, determined as we are of seeing the challenge through. So we're going to be focusing on hips today. We're going to be keeping it low. Yesterday was a short energizing practice, so a little bit more standing. Everything is going to be kind of grounded today, but really working on the hips. So we're going to come down to laying. You have an option to come into Setu Bandasana, reclining butterfly or reclining cobblers. Just move my blocks out the way. So you would start with your knees together, and then you allow the knees to flop open and the soles of the feet are touching. Okay, so this might suit some of you. It might feel too much for other people. If you have blocks, you can place blocks underneath the knees, the thighs. So one option, or cushions resting here. Have a go. If it feels too strong, too open, then just extend the legs, okay? But we'll start in Setu Bandasana, see how you get on. Remember, if for any reason it just does not suit your body, then just extend the legs out. And we're just going to focus on the breath. So you can take your hands to rest onto your belly. Let the shoulders relax, the arms relax by the sides. And just connect with your breathing. So take a couple of natural breaths. So just without thinking about it, breathing normally. You're just tuning into the breath, tuning into your body, and slowing down, allowing yourself to slow down. Okay. And then we're going to bring the knees together, so you can help the knees if you need to. So bring the knees together, soles of the feet onto the mat, so flat onto the mat. And we're going to come to Pittum. So you're just going to have the arms by the sides for now, and we move or bring the arms up and over. So the arms will come up and over. Back of the hands may touch the floor behind you, or they may be kind of not quite going all the way back, but that's fine. And then we lift the hips up and down at the same time with the breath. So as you're breathing in, lift the bottom and the hips, arms float up and over. So we're moving into the hips here, and we're also stretching the shoulders, exhaling, lowering slowly back down. So go with the out breath, doing the same thing, so 2 more times. Breathing in, peeling off, arms slowly up and over. Really press into those feet. There's a lovely release for the low back. Exhale slowly back down, arms back down to the sides. 1 more time, breathing the arms up and over. Exhaling, and the hands float down, arms float down, and then you're lowering the back, the bottom, the hips back onto the mat. We'll keep the feet where they are. We're going to keep the hands down, and we're just going to lift the bottom and the hips for now. So we're going to come into Setu Bandasana, which is a bridge pose. So you're peeling off, you're lifting up, bottom and the hips. Your knees are parallel, your feet are parallel. You can have the hands by the sides, arms by the sides, or you can clasp the hands under the back and possibly tuck those shoulders under. All this does is get you a little bit more lift. Do not move the head or the neck now. So the chin is coming in towards the chest, or chest rather moving towards the chin. You do not move the head when you're in this position, Jalandhara Bandha. This is our throat lock, and you need to keep nice and still here, so no looking at the screen. Just breathe. Okay, this is a beautiful posture, releasing the spine, getting some movement through the hips. We're working to activate the thyroid gland a little bit here. And breathing, opening up the front of the body and the back of the body. So it is actually a back bend, but we're kind of controlling how much we're going into it. and then you're going to release the hands, untuck the shoulders, and then slowly, so unraveling one vertebra at a time, back down to laying. And then we're going to bring the knees in towards the chest, give a little bit of a rock side to side if that feels good. If not, maybe circling the knees, so just to release the low back into the mat. Maybe one going one way, going the other. So listening to your body and how that feels. We're going to cross at the ankle, so we're either going to rock ourselves up to sitting, or if you feel to protect the back, you're going to roll onto your side first and then come up to sitting. Okay, we're going to come over onto all fours. So from an all fours position, we're going to tuck the toes and lift ourselves up into downward facing dog. Okay, from downward facing dog, you're going to take the right leg out behind, through between the hands, and set up for a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Untuck the toes if that's okay for the knees, if it feels comfortable. Have the hands either side of the front foot, maybe to the thigh, maybe to prayer at the heart center, or maybe up overhead. Okay, so you're sinking through the hips, so nice stretch for the hip flexors. If this is too much, just shift the hips back. Okay, a simple way to take the depth out of the position, or you have the hands to support, and then a little bit of the weight comes out of it. Just taking a few breaths here. Enjoying the stretch, nice and grounded. And then bringing those hands down, and they're going to come to the inside of that front foot. So now we're turning this into lizard pose, Uttanapishtasana. So hands to the inside of the front foot, back knees down again, toes can stay tucked or untucked, and we're just going to ease ourselves into the pose. Okay. So if this feels deep enough, like the stretch is deep enough, you're going to stay here on the hands. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you might come, and if it's available, most importantly, then you might be bringing both arms down to the floor, to the mat. Again, you work at your level, how your body feels comfortable to work. And breathing. So we'll take a couple of breaths here. It can be quite a strong hip opening pose, hip stretch, so you can always shift those hips back if that feels better. Okay, and breathing. Okay, and then we're coming back onto the hands, so up onto the hands. Move the hips slowly back, because that is quite a strong stretch. We'll come back to all fours, and we're going to do exactly the same to the other side. So we're going to tuck those toes, lift up, downward facing dog. So get that lovely stretch, straight legs if you can, pressing down through the heels, lengthening the spine. You're going to take the left leg this time into three-legged dog. We're swinging through between the hands, so we set up for our low lunge, Anjaneyasana, toes tucked or untucked, back toes. Your choice of hand placement, floor, thighs, chest, or overhead, okay, whichever works for you. And breathing, so be aware of how deep you're going into the pose. If it's too strong again, you've got that choice to come back a little, and you just find what feels right in your body really, so you don't want to overstretch. Breathe. You're opening across the heart center if the arms are overhead. And then we're going to bring those hands down, so either side of the front foot. No, it's legs kind of in the way, but you're just doing exactly the same to the other side. So hands to the inside of the front foot. Again, you can stay on the hands here. If something's available to go deeper, then you're taking the forearms down to the mat. And we're going to take a few breaths here. So you don't have to go all the way down. You can stay on the hands, it's absolutely fine. You just find again what feels right in your body and what gives you that nice stretch and that nice hip opening. Okay, breathing. And then we're going to come back onto the hands. You're going to shift the hips back. Let's just bring that leg around. That's quite an intense stretch. Bottom towards the heels. Let's come into Balasana. So maybe child's pose, maybe head to the hands, maybe arms by the sides of the body. Just take a couple of breaths here. So we're just really releasing the hips. Okay, and then we'll bring ourselves up to sitting, and then we're just going to have a look at a couple more poses. We'll come into Skandasana, so we just come to the center of the mat. Actually, let's start in Malasana. We're going to come to Skandasana. So Malasana is our squat pose. So our yogic squat, and we're going to move, just as a kind of setup really, we're going to move to a side lunge. So it involves the same depth of bend through the knees. So I'm going to offer you a couple of options. So you're going to take the right leg out or over to this side, extend the left leg out. I noticed just from my classes that sometimes this position can be quite challenging. So if this feels too deep and you absolutely cannot get into it, don't worry. Just kind of bring the hips up. So you're supporting the hands to the floor and you're shifting the weight into the right side, but you're just focusing on that stretch like this foot stays down. So this is one option. If your knee's happy to bend deeply, we'll come deeper and maybe come onto that heel and flex the foot. Okay, so Skandasana, side lunge. You can possibly bring it into a balance. Keep that weight slightly forward. Like that. If you're going to fall, you're only going to take the hands to the mat in front of you. Okay, good. Very good, breathing. Find your drishti. I'm just looking at the camera obviously, but you can look away if you prefer. And we're going to move across to the other side. So let's take the hands down. Just travel over to the other side. Remember, you can just shift the hips to the other side if you were lifted up a little higher. You can keep the hands here, or you can find your balance. So take a moment to find the balance. Okay, good. Breathing. Very good, very good. Beautiful stretch here, isn't it? Inner leg lines and obviously open through the hips. Coming back, we're going to come into Bharadvajasana. So this is a twist. So we're going to close with our twist. You're sitting onto your heels and then you're just going to bring the hips to the right side. So you're shifting the hips, almost looks like a mermaid pose, doesn't it? You shift your hips to this side. You're turning, so this is the variation of, it's a nice open twist. You're going to take one hand behind, so I'll give you options, one hand behind, maybe the back of the hand over this knee, turning towards the back shoulder. If you're comfortable with half lotus, you can take, so this would be your right leg, you can come into a half lotus position. So you're either going to stay here, or you come into a half lotus position, and then you're still turning, and if this hand, again this is advancing it a little, if this hand can reach round to that foot, you can bind the pose, okay? This is a more advanced option, but I'm just offering it in case some of you are able to do it, and then you're turning towards that back shoulder, okay? So you're either in a bound half lotus variation, or you've got the foot here, one hand to the floor, one hand back of the knee, over the back of the knee. Not the back of the knee, back of the hand over the knee. And then breathing, okay? So that nice twist to the upper body, and then coming slowly back to center. So if you're in half lotus, we'll come back over the heels, shifting over to the other side. So again, your bottoms to the left side this time. You might come to a half lotus variation. This hand, the left hand, is possibly to the floor, possibly reaching round to bind the pose, and then the other hand resting on the knee or back of the hand on the knee, and then just turning towards that back shoulder. Don't worry too much about the bound variation if it's not available at the moment. It really doesn't matter. It's just a challenge if it comes naturally to you, or you're just able to do it. Okay, breathing. When you bind a pose, so any yoga pose, we're just deepening the twist really, allowing yourself to get a little bit deeper into the twist. Breathe fully, deeply, and then releasing, coming slowly back to center. Okay, and then just come to a comfortable seat. So just a gentle cross-legged or sitting on your heels, whichever's comfortable. And we're just going to take a moment to close our practice together. So I hope you feel a little bit more open through the hips. Definitely should feel like you've had a bit of a stretch. We can take our hands into the lap. So just resting one hand onto the other. Allow the shoulders to relax, but drawing up nice and tall. Just bring your awareness to the breathing, so breathing in and out through the nose. Okay, aware of the present moment by being aware of each breath as it ebbs and flows. And then just slowly opening the eyes. So thank you once again for joining me on day 4 of our 30-day challenge, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Namaste.